So it happened. I had a different script ready for this episode, but the man I'm talking about in this podcast, this sadistic individual, officially hacked into my brand new Wi Fi network and all my new accounts and devices. It's funny how that happened just days after the launch of this podcast. There was a constant possibility that he could sabotage my business, my accounts, or this podcast at any moment. I had to take a minute to process everything. It was very defeating, as I truly did everything possible to prevent this from happening. But I am not going to let that stop me. I am not going to let him stop me. I had to take a moment to process this all over again, but all it really shows is how much power I truly have over him. He feels so threatened he couldn't even wait a week to reveal himself. I happened to see the takeover while scanning my network at just the right time. February 21st, 2026 at 10:21 a.m. My Home Hub 3000, which is my Bell router, got bumped offline and mysteriously turned into an iPad with 12 IP addresses, and a different device jumped into my router's place. And then Adeana iPad 2 showed up multiple times, which is a huge red flag, as that's exactly what happened when he cloned my last iPhone. He would just put a 2 next to the name of the device. Something he probably wasn't expecting was me catching this all in real time, seeing all the devices go offline and back on again. Basically, what he did was install a middleman device between my router and his tech so he can access all my data, my photos, and my videos. In the past, I would have never caught this, but because I'm aware now of what is going on, I have certain things in place to monitor this type of stuff. It truly is disgusting that someone would invest this much time into taking down the mother of their child. But I am taking my power back. I've realized that I will always have complete control over my emotions and how I react. That is something he can never have control over. He wants a breakdown. He wants me to call him out so he can play the victim and make me look crazy. Not happening. I'm not saying a word. He'll never admit to it anyways, but I do have the proof. I'll just hold on to that while he continues to dig his own karmic grave. After scanning my house and doing a walkthrough, I realized there are still multiple devices hidden throughout my home. That's how he keeps getting in. He just has to pull up close enough to my house and connect to those devices which are still wired into my home, and he's back in. It is so important for people to understand these capabilities. For those in toxic relationships, this type of stalking is only going to amplify. The whole reason for me creating this podcast is to spread awareness so others can protect themselves. It's a lonely place to be when no one understands or believes you. We all watch Dateline or Living with Evil, but yet people still have a hard time believing this could happen to them or someone they know. Okay, so now let's go back to the beginning of 2025. Let's go over some of what opened my eyes to this disturbing nightmare. Now, him or they actually had a whole system set up. Every time I went out, he had different people and other girls coming in the house, and someone was always watching for him, keeping six. They used alarms or noises as signals. What I realized is he was using my actual home security system as an alarm. So if I was out and they wanted to cut the cameras so I couldn't see what was going on, they would signal the alarm, because if they were signaling the alarm, the camera would cut out. However, I would get notified that that alarm was being signaled. So I eventually caught on and started to call him out, which he then started to use different signals. They used to use this signal. It sounded like a bird noise, almost like the sound that you would hear at a crosswalk. I would start to hear this on numerous occasions when I would get out of my shower, like they were letting him know I was out of the shower. After listening back to some of the recordings that I had, on numerous occasions, I had just walked through the door and he's on the phone saying to someone, "Yeah, that was a close call. Okay, she's on her way out." Talking about the girl he literally had just snuck in and out of the house while I was gone. What I also realized is they were using these signals to let him know that somebody was almost home or coming through the door, like me or one of the kids. To imagine I almost ran into these people in my own home. And actually, after listening to the recordings, I realized my own kids almost ran into these people. On one occasion, one of the recordings, my youngest son was coming down the stairs and him and this girl ran back into the downstairs bathroom. And then you can hear her giggling. It's absolutely disgusting. I would check my security system while I was out, and they would cut the feed so I couldn't see who was coming or going or what was going on. It was like clockwork, too. Every time I was a few minutes from my house, if I was checking the cameras, a few minutes from the house, it would always cut out, giving whoever enough time to leave or not get caught by the cameras. And it was the constant events like this that were red flags to me, why I couldn't just let it go. I would just keep saying to myself, this is not normal. This stuff doesn't happen continuously unless there is something going on. And I know he thought he could just convince me I was crazy again, like all of the other times. But my intuition was screaming, this is not normal. Something is wrong. And also keeping in mind that I had those 2.5 years away from him, I had a lot of time to heal. I was in a good space mentally to know that what I was surrounded with was not okay and not normal. On this other occasion, this is the end of February 2025. I had put my recorder in the car. He was about to go out. Of course, he was acting suspicious once again, so I threw a recorder in the car. Well, not too long after he leaves the house, somebody gets in the car. And this is very close to my home. I mean, not very long after like a block away, I hear that car door open, shut, and somebody put their seatbelt on. Now, usually they were very careful. They would always whisper, they would turn the music up really loud. However, on this occasion, they slipped. Shortly after he picked the girl up not too far from my house, somebody else jumps in the car. Well, the next person that had jumped in the car was a guy who then drove my car while he messed around with the girl in the back seat. I know his whole reason for doing that is so that if I was recording and I heard certain things going on, I'm not going to be able to make sense of it because the car is driving. How could he be doing anything if the car is driving? Which is exactly what he would say to me if I called him out on it. Are you crazy? How can I be doing anything? I'm driving the car. Can't you hear the car moving? But they messed up in this recording because I heard the guy talk and he said, "Hey, where's the seatbelt?" Which he probably didn't think I was going to catch that. And then later on in that same recording, they start doing that exact same bird noise and snickering. And that is when I knew the level of sadistic I was dealing with. I had recently just mentioned to him how I would hear that bird noise when I would get out of the shower. So clearly he was doing that in the car, knowing I was recording. It's just another sadistic way to play with your head, play with your mind. This is also when I realized the system that this man truly had set up. I would just think to myself, who is this person I've been with on and off for 10 years? Around the same time, another incident took place. This was the moment I realized he wasn't working alone. Keep in mind that every incident I am talking about in this episode happened within a week of it was literally all at once. I was coming across all of this. And this is the moment I realized that he wasn't working alone and how severe the psychological cage truly was, how intentional he was being at messing with my head. In late February 2025, I was sitting at my desk in my living room. Suddenly, through my security camera, I hear a growl followed by a man's voice calling me a fucking whore. I went to the bathroom, which is where he was at the time, and I asked him, "Did you just say something through the camera?" Of course, he played the victim and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" So I played along with him for a while. I wanted to look back on the feed to past recordings to see if I could catch someone talking to me through the cameras. So I went back a good month and I sat with him while I was doing this. Meanwhile, this whole time I'm knowing he's a part of this. I'm playing along with him as if and he's acting like he's a victim of this big hacking thing. Sure enough, when I look back, there's multiple video clips where I am leaving the room and there's someone growling at me or there's someone saying something. Now he can hear it too, so he can't say that it's just in my head, but he's also not going to admit that he is a part of it or even doing some of it. Another thing I noticed at the end was it always sounded like there were people in my house, whether I was home or I was away. If I checked my security cameras, I could hear people talking, and it wasn't the TV and it wasn't people walking by because I had eliminated everything to determine that there were people somewhere literally in my house. And I would ask him about it and he would just brush it off like he didn't know. I do know that sometimes my cameras could pick up voices from the garage, but I wasn't really about to go searching either. I was scared. So I did take a few weeks to process everything. And then once we got to the end of March, a lot of the fear had turned into anger. And I told him, I'm done. I brought everything up to him. I told him everything that I had uncovered. So he knew I knew everything and he was not going to leave on that day. He made sure he waited a good few days to leave so that he could plant all his devices and get everything ready for when he left to make me look crazy. I even called this, I knew he was going to make me look crazy. There was no way he was going to allow me to have this type of proof and evidence on him without making me look crazy. The best way to discredit what somebody is going to say is to make them look delusional. And everything I brought to him, he knew I knew everything. I can't even explain what it feels like to realize that you've been sleeping next to someone worse than your worst enemy, someone who is intentionally trying to break you in every way, maliciously hurt you. Now, even though I knew that when he left, he was going to try to make me look crazy, I never could have imagined what was about to happen. When he left, I thought I was finally going to be able to focus on my business and get my life back together. That was the farthest thing from the truth because when he left, I realized that he had hacked all of my devices. His last week there at my home, I realized he had cloned my cell phone. And then after he left, when I went back and listened to the recordings and watched some of the hidden video footage, the stuff that I uncovered was worse than I ever could have imagined and more terrifying than my brain could even comprehend. And then shortly after that, he already was in my emails. I just didn't know. Shortly after that, he hacked my online business and then that was gone. So when all this happened, I needed some months to process and heal before I really jumped back into my business and rebuilding. The funny thing too is what I've realized is shortly before he attacks, whether it's hacking me some way, whatever the case is, he will call me and accuse me of doing exactly what he's about to do. And he just did that a few weeks ago. Sent me a text saying, I know it's you and I have proof, which I don't know what the heck he's talking about. And then there he goes hacking into all my stuff again. And he did it last year when he hacked into my email and tore down my online business. He accused me of hacking into his email and apparently his Facebook and whatever else. So he always gives himself away, which now I know if he is contacting me to accuse me of something, something's about to happen. So, my closing for this episode is a message to him. If you invest this amount of time into your own life, maybe you would be successful. Maybe you could do something with your life. You think you have gotten away with everything you've done. And I know you've already heard me say this because you are constantly listening to me in everything I say, but listen very closely. I don't have to do anything to expose you. It's the energy you're in. You are going to expose yourself. You are going to reveal the man you truly are, and I don't have to do a damn thing. Saturn is in your first house, my friend, and he will be delivering your karma over the next 2 years. You know I haven't been wrong about anything I've predicted so far. I know you know for years everything I've predicted has come to fruition. So I know you know. I also know this. You couldn't handle what you've put me through. You would be in a corner crying like a baby if what happened to me happened to you. Maybe that will be your karma. Your friends will flip and come after you because the eclipses are also in your 11th house of friendships and social circles. So I know there will be a falling out in that area of your life. Either way, your time has come. You may have been successful in the last hack, but were you? Because I caught you. I seen everything you just did. It's not like before when I'm completely clueless. I know. I'm aware of all of it. And instead of breaking me in my mind, you made me stronger and more resilient. There's not too much more you can do at this point to try and hurt me. You've done it all. And guess what? I'm still here, surviving and thriving. There's one thing you really need to get through your head. You do not know how to handle people like me. I am too strong for you. And the more you try to take me down, the stronger you make me. I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to allow you to crush me. I wasn't raised that way. I am not built that way physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Thank you all so much for joining me for another episode. Make sure you follow and support as much as you can to help me fight this war I'm in. Let's build a community to support each other. I will connect with you in the next episode. Also, list in the comments below as to what you would like me to discuss more on. Anything I've already discussed in these episodes, is there anything that you want me to elaborate on?